So this one was interesting. I think it'll be surprising, I think, to you all to some degree. Um, this was on a previous study this past week, and it's about imagined contact and reducing outgroup bias. And so the question posed here was, will the imagined contact intervention significantly reduce prejudice towards the American Muslim outgroup when compared to a control condition? And so 196 college students participated, and they were picked through a convenient sampling method. And the researchers employed a between subjects design with two conditions, which is imagined contact and then a control variable. And the participants took a minute to imagine the scenario that they had been given. And I have the scenario here. The scenario was, the imagined contact condition was participants were given instructions to imagine a scenario where they meet a member of the outgroup, which is a Muslim American. And in the control condition, participants received instructions to imagine a scenario in which they were simply outdoors without interacting with the outgroup. And so they imagined the scenario for a minute, then they were asked to describe as many aspects of their scenario as possible in 1 minute. And then after describing, they completed questionnaires with a Likert scale, measuring the outgroup attitudes. And so what this found, which I'm interesting, they found that those in the imagined contact condition did not actually express significantly less prejudiced attitudes than those in the control group. And so they defied the expectation that engaging in imagined contact would result in less prejudiced attitudes towards the American Muslim outgroup. And so I wonder, I want to dive into this study a little bit more to see maybe what maybe would have caused that more, because I know that there are other intergroup imagined contact or outgroup imagined contact studies that show that it does help improve attitudes towards the outgroup.
Yeah, and there's the I mean, I think the research shows that it's not just imagined contact that is effective. It's a certain type of imagined contact. Mm-hmm. It's things like positive contact, or common goals in the contact, or salience of relatability or likability, like certain types of contact. That's what I'm curious is, like, what exactly, it was just like, imagine that you're in the presence of someone else, or
that seems like that's the case, and I guess that would make sense, because you're having no challenge to any pre-held beliefs, and if you have negative beliefs as Muslims, like, that's going to show up in your imagined contact scenario.
It could even be worse. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So that was kind of that's the finding of this study, and Anupriya related it to diversity management and training, in the sense that workplaces facilitate real-life contact with subjective outgroups, as opposed to the imaginary contact mentioned in the study. And employees should get accustomed to interaction and inclusivity norms of engagement at the workplace, and workplaces should be there for them to help develop skills required for real contact, communication, engagement, and community building.
Yeah, I mean, imagined contact is actually quite effective. But it has to be a certain, I think it has to be a certain type of imagined. I mean, there has to be something has to be done during that contact.
Right.
Yeah, which is her key takeaway, is having a more structure of whether it be, an immersive experience, a training, a seminar, but where there's like actionable, like, this is what we're going to do to have contact with the outgroup, versus this. So this study didn't, I just pulled it up here too. It didn't reveal what the imagined contact scenario was.
All it seemed to address was that they imagined a scenario where they meet the member of the outgroup. I'd like to.
Okay, so they didn't actually provide the vignette in the
I'm looking at the full study. I'm trying to find it, get access to it. Let's see.
I wonder if it's like in the. Is it a master? Was it a master's thesis? Is that what?
Yeah, it's a master's thesis.
It might be in the appendix, the vignette.
Okay.
But I mean, this aligns, Jeremy, with what you're saying. Of there has to be some type of, like, it has to be a specific type of imagined contact, or just contact in general.
Well, like Noah, the study that we ran with Stanford, so we did imagined contact with an outgroup member, 3 different conditions. All of them had imagined contact, but one condition, they were prompted to write about 3 things that they thought they could relate to with the other person. The other condition, 3 things that they thought were very different between them and the other person. And then the third condition, they didn't talk about that. They just wrote about like things in the environment. So it was like a control condition. And what it showed was that the ones in the condition that they actually made salient their relatability to the target outgroup member, they were more flexible. They liked the person more. They were willing to negotiate more. Their optimism about trustworthiness went up and all that stuff. And in the other 2 conditions weren't significantly different. So in the control, which is like benign, and in the one where you actually made someone feel different than the other person, they were very much the same. They weren't significantly different, which tends to mean probably that with just imagined contact, and it could be just as like sort of pessimistic or negative as imagined contact with some negative contact. So you really do have to make that positive part of it, a positive initiative in the contact.
That makes a lot of sense, and I found the scenarios here that it kind of falls in line with that, because it says, I would like you, for the imagined contact, I would like you to take a minute to imagine yourself meeting an American Muslim stranger for the first time. During the conversation, imagine you find out some interesting and unexpected things about the stranger. And that's it.
Oh, that's it. Okay, so that that's see, for me, if that would be in line with the expectation of the results of the study.
Right.
I would think that there would be no difference between that and a control group. In fact, yeah. I would expect maybe that it would go down or something, because I mean, if someone feels threatened and they are in the presence of someone that they feel threatened by in some way, then it could be even worse.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. I was wondering, but positive imagined contact, that's what makes the difference.
Yeah.
Interesting. Okay. This was helpful for me, at least. I think helps clarify it quite a bit. And I see the difference now with the study that I helped you a little bit with, Jeremy, that you just mentioned, how that, seems to make, that does make a difference to some degree.
So if you have some extra time and you want to do a little writing, I may need help with it.
Yep. Just let me know.
Okay.